Hello and welcome back to the Mighty Chaos Podcast. I'm your host and storyteller, Therese Hicks, and tonight we'll be getting into the chilling urban legend of the Bear Lake Monster from Utah, and then cozy book talk and random chaos to wrap it up. New here? Grab a snack and blanket. This is your spot for horror tales, urban legends, book chats, and real conversations where everyone feels at home and belongs. Now let's get into the story time of the Bear Lake Monster. The Bear Lake straddles Utah and Idaho, but the shoe-shown people warned of something lurking beneath, a massive water serpent that snatched people whole. Then in 1868, Joseph C. Ritchie flooded the desert news with wild reports. A 90-foot brown serpent with flippered legs racing boats across the lake with its massive mouth wide open. Brigham Young sends hunters with ropes to catch it, causing newspapers to explode and settlers to go into panic, and Rich's confessions becoming first-class lies. For attention, a hoax exposed. Right? Wrong. Because in 1907, a beast attacked a camp, killing a horse. Then in 1946, a scout leader sees a boxcar-sized monster rise from the waves, and as of 2002, the latest sighting was 60 feet under a boat. Okay, so let's get into my thoughts on the Bear Lake. It sounds like a few urban legends that I can think of, like with sirens or within the different cultures, there's at least one creature that kind of lures people, whether that be with like singing or like something like there's this one thing where I don't know if it sings, I don't really know if it does anything, but it's like a canopy thing, and it kind of like pulls people under the water. And I know like within different cultures there's like some kind of creature or thing like that that kind of does that, or just some variation of that. And it honestly kind of sounds like when people kind of like, let's test this out and see if this is actually true, and then you don't hear back from them, you don't hear from them again, or it's just something happens to them. But it's the common theme within each of these urban legends, or at least one's kind of similar to this, where kind of, I guess, the creature tricks people, or the people don't want to believe a certain urban legend, and then they disappear. And that's what it kind of seems like with this urban legend. I think it seems like people not really necessarily get tricked by the serpent, but they've kind of said like they see the serpent, and Joseph C. Rich is kind of telling the paper like there's a serpent, it's 90 feet, you should go see if it's real, or it's real, you should definitely check it out. And then you got Young, he's pretty much sending in hunters to catch the creature, to catch the creature. And then there's the camp leader, there's the scout leader, he kind of sees it rise within the waves, and then the last sighting was 60 feet. So it kind of varies, and it kind of makes me wonder if there may be various, at least like if the serpent, there's more than one serpent, or it's kind of exaggerated and it's not really a serpent, but it may be like a eel or something like that, like nothing really serious, I guess. Well, eels are serious, obviously, because they electrocute people or things. So maybe just like a different kind of sea creature that people haven't seen before. But that's just kind of my theory. But let me know if you think it's a hoax, or it may have some kind of truth to the urban legend. Or let me know if you've been to the Bear Lake before and you may have seen the serpent yourself. But I think that's all for my thoughts on the Bear Lake monster. Okay, and on a lighter note, let's get into some book talk. So, again, sorry to disappoint you guys. We have no update on the head witch in charge. But as I've said before, it will be coming soon, and you guys will hear my thoughts on that chapter, or the part I left off on. But I do want to get into some theories on Silver Sweet, because as I told you guys, it does come out in August or this summer, and I didn't really get to get into some theories on what I may think will happen. And one of the people I follow on Instagram, Haley Reeds, she she kind of got into some of the theories on her podcast, or she went over some theories with her friends on her podcast of what they may think will happen. And I kind of want to get my version of that. So I kind of give credit. I'm going to give credit to Haley Reed's because it was her idea. So I did see a few theories and I agree with them. So some people were saying that because Tom, like in the last book, everyone in his band quit and that kind of left him by himself. So with his love interest, obviously they're going to work together and they don't like each other. So some people had said there's going to be a rebranding of the band, or there may be like a slight one, or that may not happen, but some kind of rebranding going on. And then they also kind of added that he will go on a tour with him because Tom, he sings, and then his love interest, he plays the drums. So they think they will go on a tour together, and as like they're kind of on the tour, they'll kind of start to get to know one another and actually kind of start to become friends and then start to like each other. The second one will be, I saw that someone said Tom and Elliot will fight or will have like an argument or falling out or something like that. And I don't really doubt that because that could happen. As like some people kind of see them as Irish twins because they're a year and a half apart. And something is possible. Something could happen and then they could disagree with one another. Even though they're usually like close, like they kind of act like twins, but they're not. But I can see something like that happening, and it kind of changes their dynamic and relationship as a whole. The authors also, this is not really a theory, but the authors also kind of said that we get to see the other Cobalt siblings' relationships, or I guess the way they kind of interact with their love interests in the background of this book, kind of like a little bit in the book, but obviously it's not going to take too much focus off Tom and Phoenix, who is his love interest, and I think it would just be interesting to kind of see that and how that kind of unfolds. But getting back to another theory, when also kind of watching Haley's podcast, she kind of mentioned that the authors said that Beckett will crash out in this book. And for those that don't know who Beckett is, he's the third oldest, and his twin, he has a twin, and his twin is Charlie. So Beckett, because there's seven cobalt children, because there's seven cobalt siblings in total. So out of all the seven, like Beckett, he's known as being calm and collected. So it'll be interesting to kind of see his character kind of crash out because that's pretty much what he's about to do. And because there's like a lot kind of going on with him. So it'll be interesting to kind of see that kind of develop in this book and what he kind of does. Another obvious theory, obviously, we're going to find out more about Phoenix and his family because there's not much detail about them. So we'll find out more about who they are or who they may be. So I think that's going to be interesting to see unfold. And honestly, I think that's all the theories I have. I can't really necessarily think of any more. But I can't wait until the book comes out, honestly, because we'll actually find out what actually is going on in the book. Because they did release the tropes and a little bit of like pieces of the book, or like little kind of like just like little kind of teasers of the book. And that's going to be interesting to see as it comes out, or as it gets closer to kind of when the book releases. It'll be interesting to kind of see that. But until then, I guess we can only have our theories about what will happen in the book. But also I wanted to add, what are you guys reading right now? And do you have any favorite series? And have there been any books that you didn't finish? And why did you not finish the book? I've got a few that I didn't finish, or I DNF'd them because I just didn't like what was going on in the book, or the character wasn't the best. Because I think when it comes to a book, either a character or the plot kind of like really defines whether you finish the book or not. And I know personally, like I'm trying to work on like if I don't like what's going on in a book or a series, to kind of be like, I don't need to finish the series if I didn't really like it as much, or it was not the best, or what was going on in the book wasn't the best. But send me your recs. No heavy stuff. I mean it. But that's the end of book talk for now. Okay, so let's get into some random chaos. So, have you guys ever noticed that when you grow up, or even after high school, and sometimes even college or beyond that you never really see any classmates, like they just vanish. Because I know, like, after I graduated high school, because I did graduate early through a program, but it is kind of strange that I have not really seen any like classmates or anyone I kind of like, any childhood friends I may have had when I was younger. Because I know, like, maybe like a year or two after graduating high school, when I went to TCC, I did see some people, and even outside of like community college, I saw them. But after that, like, they kind of just disappeared. Like, I didn't see them anymore or anything like that. But like, when it came to my brother and my sister, and even my mom at times, like, they would kind of run into people they went to school with or grew up with, and they're just like, hey, and they just like somehow know random people, and it's actually kind of hilarious. But it's just always been interesting to me, like, how I've never really seen like anyone after I kind of graduate, or like in recent years, honestly, is what I mean. Because I did kind of see some after graduating high school, or after I did the program like that I went through Tulsa Tech, and it has been interesting. Like, it has just been interesting. That's always been like a thought on my mind. Like, I feel like everyone in like the class year that I was supposed to graduate in, but I graduated a year early, they like disappeared. Never heard from them again, or just like seen them in passing. And honestly, they could have moved to a different state or gone to a different college in a different state, or who knows. But I've never, like, after I transferred from TCC to OU, like, I haven't even seen anyone on campus that I've went to school with. And it is a big campus, so they probably are here, but I've not seen them, and they're obviously probably not in the same major as me. But they could be here, but who knows? Okay, let me just say this. Have you ever seen anyone, when it's come to people you've grown up with, meaning friends that you may have had when you were like younger versus like people you went to school with as like classmates, have you seen them recently, or have they just randomly disappeared and you haven't seen any trace of them and they just kind of disappeared, like they didn't exist at all? Or are you still in contact with people you've kind of been friends with since forever, or even went to school with, and you still keep in contact with those people? That's my question. And I think that's the end of Random Chaos. Until next time. And this has been your Cozy Chaos for today. As we first got into the Bear Lake Monster, shifting things into book talk, and then we followed things up with book talk, and ended on post-high school vanishing thoughts. If you felt at home, hit follow on Spotify for monthly and sometimes weekly episodes, and share your paranormal stories, urban legends, book recs, and chaos moments, because your voice belongs here. And email below at themightychaospodcast@gmail.com. And this has been your host, Therese Hicks, signing off from the Mighty Chaos Podcast. Stay curious and cozy, and stay tuned for the next episodes.